We continue reading from Caitanya Caritamrita. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We are on Adi-Lila, chapter 4, text 53. Bhava granera hetu kaila dharma sthapana tara mukhya hetu kahi shuna sarvajana. To accept ecstatic love is the main reason he appeared and re-established the religious system for this age. I shall now explain that reason. Everyone, please listen. To accept ecstatic love. Okay. Mula hetu age shlokera kaila abhas ebe kahi e shlokera artha prakash. Having first given hints about the verse describing the principal reason why the Lord appeared, now I shall manifest its full meaning. We finished this sentiment of Radharani. I'm sorry, yeah, we did this. We did this too. Okay, so text 57 say Dui Eka Ebe Chaitanya Gosai Rasa Ashwadite Donhe Haila Eka Thani. Now to enjoy Ras, they have appeared in one body as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we heard yesterday how Radha and Krishna, they combined. They eternally first separated themselves. Radharani is Lord Krishna's internal pleasure-giving potency, his Hladini potency, and they eternally separated themselves to enjoy loving pastimes. And then now they combined again and came as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Iti lagi age karitara vivarana yaha haite haya gaurera mahima kathana. Therefore, I shall first delineate the position of Radha and Krishna. From that description, the glory of Lord Chaitanya will be known. Radhika haina Krishnera pranaya vikar swarup shakti hladini nama yanahar. Srimati Radhika is the transformation of Krishna's love. She is his internal energy called Hladini. So Krishna's love, his compassion, the personification is Srimati Radharani. She is personified love. She is the internal energy of Krishna called Hladini potency. So she is his energy. When they're having loving pastimes, there's nothing wrong. Krishna is enjoying with his own energy. She is the personification of Krishna's love. Hladini Karaya Krishne Anandas Vadana Hladini Radvara Kare Bhaktera Poshana. That Hladini energy gives Krishna pleasure and nourishes his devotees. So she gives him pleasure. That's how he feels pleasure and nourishes his devotees. Srila Jiva Goswami has elaborately discussed the Hladini potency in his Priti Sandarbha. He says that the Vedas clearly state only devotional service can lead one to the personality of Godhead. So Srila Jiva Goswami is one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. He's written also many Bhakti Shastras. His commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam is very famous, known as the Sat Sandarbhas. So he says that only devotional service can lead one to the personality of Godhead. So if we want to approach the Supreme Lord, if we want to understand God, it's only through bhakti. There is no other way. Krishna himself also says that the only way to get out of this material world is by surrendering to me. He says that also in Bhagavad Gita. And so that is being reiterated by his devotee, Srila Jiva Goswami. Only devotional service can help a devotee meet the Supreme Lord face to face. Face to face. So by doing bhakti, we can see the Supreme Lord face to face. People say, can you show me God? We can say, yes, you please take up this hearing and chanting, and you will be able to see God. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is attracted by devotional service. And as such, the ultimate supremacy of Vedic knowledge rests in knowing the science of devotional service. So how is Krishna attracted? He's attracted by bhakti, by devotional service. That's what attracts him. Oh, here is this living entity. Here he wants to know me. He wants to get to know me, and Krishna gets happy. He wants to see, oh, who's chanting my name? Who's calling me? Who's thinking about me? Let me see. He gets attracted. As such, the ultimate supremacy of Vedic knowledge rests in knowing the science of devotional service. So what is the Vedic knowledge all about? The Vedas are so vast, dealing with so many different topics. But what's the essence? What's the essence is bhakti. The essence of all the Vedas is bhakti. Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream of the essence of all the Vedas. What is the particular attraction that makes the Supreme Lord enthusiastic to accept devotional service? And what is the nature of such service? The Vedic scriptures inform us that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is self-sufficient, and that Maya, nescience, can never influence him at all. So Krishna is Atmaram. Krishna is Atmaram. He doesn't need anything. He doesn't need anyone. He's fully satisfied. He doesn't need anything external to make him happy. We have to eat food to feel full. We need loving relationships. We are dependent on others. Krishna, nothing. He can just sit by himself and feel happy. He doesn't need anything. He's totally self-sufficient. He's the absolute truth. He's the Supreme Lord. And Maya can never influence him. Maya can never forget him who he is. Maya is his energy. Maya influences us. What is Maya? Maya means thinking that something does not have a relationship to Krishna. Anything or anyone not connected to Krishna. When we think that, that is Maya. Forgetfulness of Krishna is Maya. Thinking something does not belong to Krishna, that is Maya. Thinking that something is not in relation to Krishna, that is Maya. That is nescience, ignorance. That is ignorance. Therefore, the potency that overcomes the Supreme must be purely spiritual. Such a potency cannot be anything of the material manifestation. The bliss enjoyed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be of material composition, like the impersonalist conception of the bliss of Brahman. So Krishna is Atmaram. He is enjoying by his spiritual energy, not by his material energy. No, it's the spiritual energy that gives him the joy. Devotional service is reciprocation between two, and therefore it cannot be located simply within oneself. Therefore, the bliss of self-realization, Brahmananda, cannot be equated with devotional service. So there is happiness by being situated on the Brahman platform, because of course it's a very high platform. It's beyond this material world. It's in the spiritual sky. It's not in the spiritual planet, because Brahman is just the spiritual space. So, but it's still beyond, it's away from this material world. So of course there is happiness. There is, but that happiness is compared to just the water being contained in the hoof print of a calf. A calf is so small. The hoof print is so small. So that much water. But whereas the happiness which is experienced by engaging in devotional service, in bhakti, is compared to an unending ocean of happiness. And we can dive and play in it and dive deeper and deeper and drink the nectar to our heart's content. So for devotional service, there's always two. When we are saying service, means there is a servitor and there is one who's accepting the service. If we are saying devotion, means there is some devotion for someone. So that's why there's a reciprocation. There is a devoted, so there, and the object of devotion. So there is two, and that is what is the complete bliss. That is what is the highest bliss. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has three kinds of internal potency, namely the Hladini Shakti or pleasure potency, the Sandhini Shakti or existential potency, and the Samvit Shakti or cognitive potency. In the Vishnu Puran 1.12.69, the Lord is addressed as follows: O Lord, You are the support of everything. The three attributes, Hladini, Sandhini, and Samvit, exist in you as one spiritual energy. But the material modes which cause happiness, misery, and mixtures of the two do not exist in you, for you have no material qualities. So the material modes of passion, goodness, and ignorance, they don't exist in Krishna. That's only here in this material world. That's how the material energy, she controls us like puppets. We are under these modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, but they don't affect Krishna. Krishna is the puppeteer. He is the puppeteer. He's the powerful. How can his energy overcome him? If his energy ever overcame him, then that means Maya would be stronger than him. That means Maya would be God. But that's not true. Maya is not God. God is God. She is just his energy. And he has three kinds of internal potency. That's called Hladini Shakti. Hladini is by which he feels happiness, pleasure, bliss. Sandhini Shakti is his existential potency, and he's eternally existing, eternal. Samvit, the knowledge that he has. So he has these energies, and through these energies, he experiences these things. So he's the energetic. These energies are all under his control. Hladini is the personal manifestation of the blissfulness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which he enjoys pleasure. Hladini is his pleasure potency. He's able to experience pleasure through this Hladini potency. Because the pleasure potency is perpetually present in the Supreme Lord, the theory of the impersonalist that the Lord appears in the material mode of goodness cannot be accepted. The impersonalist conclusion is against the Vedic version that the Lord possesses a transcendental pleasure potency. So the impersonalist, what they say is that the Lord has no form, but when he comes into this material world, he takes on a form which is material, and that form is made of goodness. But this version or this statement by the impersonalist is against the Vedic scriptures, against the Vedic knowledge, because the Vedas, they clearly state that the Lord has his internal energies, his internal potencies. He's never overcome by this Maya potency. He has his own internal, transcendental, his spiritual energies by which he is experiencing bliss. He does not need this material mode of goodness to feel happy. He has his own spiritual potency. When the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is exhibited by his grace in the person of a devotee, that manifestation is called love of God. So by the grace, by Krishna's grace, by his grace, a devotee feels this pleasure potency. Manifestation is called love of God. Love of God is an epithet for the pleasure potency of the Lord. Therefore, devotional service reciprocated between the Lord and his devotee is an exhibition of the transcendental pleasure potency of the Lord. So we can see that love of God is on a spiritual platform. It is the highest bliss because that's Krishna's own pleasure-giving potency, by which he feels pleasure. And he's giving us that pleasure. He's letting us feel that pleasure through this love that we have. It's a reciprocation between the living entity and the Lord. It's experienced through this, through Krishna's own internal pleasure potency. Bhakti Devi, she's his Krishna's spiritual energy. And so that manifestation is called love of God. It's exhibited by Krishna's grace in a devotee. So by his mercy, we can revive this. He's allowing us to feel this pleasure. So we can understand that when we actually revive our love of God, how happy we would feel. It's Krishna's own, it's the happiness he's feeling, transcendental pleasure potency. So it is a spiritual happiness. We are looking for happiness. All of us want to be happy. if you tell anyone, do you want to be sad? Do this and you'll be sad. You'll say, for what? You crazy? Why am I going to do something which is going to make me sad? I'll do something which will make me happy. So here we are understanding the highest happiness we can feel is if we revive our love of Krishna, love of God. And he came to give us this very easy method to revive. It's just chant and hear, hearing and chanting. The potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that always enriches him with transcendental bliss is not material, but the Shankarites have accepted as such because they're ignorant of the identity of the Supreme Lord and his pleasure potency. So the Shankarites, the followers of Shankaracharya, they think that Krishna's, what the bliss he's feeling is material goodness. But all the Vedic literatures, they declare that Krishna has his own internal spiritual energy, which is not material at all. And why do the Shankarites say that? Because they are ignorant of the identity of the Supreme Lord and his pleasure potency. They do not understand the tattva, the truth, the position of the Supreme Lord, the position of his energies. And it's very sad because Shankaracharya himself, Shilpa Shankaracharya himself, he himself accepts Krishna as the Supreme Lord. He himself says that Narayan is away from this Maya, but his followers don't accept it. But anyway, it was his service. He came to give this impersonalist philosophy to the people who wanted to hear this philosophy. So he is an incarnation of Lord Shiva, and he came with this service. So those ignorant persons cannot understand the distinction between impersonal spiritual bliss and the variegatedness of the spiritual pleasure potency. The impersonalists, they think that the bliss that is in the Brahman is the highest, but they're not able to understand there is even a higher bliss, of even more sweeter happiness that is in the spiritual planets, in this loving exchange, variegatedness, in the spiritual pleasure potency. The Hladini potency gives the Lord all transcendental pleasure, and the Lord bestows such a potency upon his pure devotee. So this is how kind he is. He's feeling pleasure. The Hladini potency gives the Lord all transcendental pleasure. So the spiritual pleasure that Krishna is feeling, he gives this same pleasure to his pure devotee. He does not keep it himself. Only I want to be happy and you all suffer. No, please take. You also feel the happiness that I'm feeling. I feel so happy. You also take this happiness and feel this happiness. He's giving it to anyone who will take it, who will accept it. It's just, do we want it? Do we want to feel this transcendental pleasure? The choice is ours. Choice is ours. Any questions or comments? If no, then we'll stop here for today. So just by hearing and chanting, Krishna has made it so simple for us. Just by hearing and chanting, we can feel the highest pleasure that can be experienced, that Krishna himself is experiencing. Of course, he's unlimited, so he can experience it to the unlimited degree. We are tiny, insignificant, our size. The size of the soul is insignificant, so we can experience it to the maximum capacity that we can experience. We have to give up this competition with the Supreme Lord. We need to give that up. Right now, we are in the material world because we are thinking we are competitors to God and that he's our competitor. Instead of understanding, he's our most beloved, loving object, and he loves us the most. He's the object of our love. So we'll stop here for today. Thank you so much for listening and for joining in. Shri Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Bol.